All right, so here's a crit on this safe room background image here. Um, outright, let's see. So there's several things here. So uh, the whatever this wall is, I would assume that this plant is outside somewhere, so it actually would not be whatever that corner is indicating, because it's kind of indicating almost like it's like a weird indoor patio thing. Um, so if, for example, if plants were breaking in through the window, what we would see is we would see broken glass. So we would have to have enough room around the plant to be able to get that shape in. The other thing is, as this plant is breaking in, it is at a very difficult angle. Like a lot of objects within this room are moving in Z space, which is going in and that can give you a lot of ambiguity as far as like the size and scale of things as well. For example, what is the length of the gap between the couch and that wall? Well, we've put in these boards here, but the boards are the boards like this shape if I were to look at it sideways, or are the boards like super long, right? Like I don't know, you know. Um, so there's a lot of ambiguity that comes with that. Right here, for example, the design of this TV is needs to be widened. Most of the time, TVs like this are like kind of square shaped like this, and also because it's kind of a old-timey tube TV, it would also have like a cylindrical drum thing in the back here as well. As well as, you having the legs on there. If the legs are built in, there's different ways to do that. There's, something a bit more cohesive like this, you know. But yeah, I understand you really wanted to see the front of the TV, but I mean, it's really hard from this angle to do that. This phone is gigantic. Um, yeah, too big. And in fact, like if I was a person in this room, so this is another thing that we need to do going forward is to always indicate um, the person that would be in this room, whether it be a human or a I don't know, an alien or something, right? It has to. It's like what fits in this room, right? That's the question. And so the way you kind of need to map out the perspective as well. Let's see, what is your perspective? It goes like this. So I'm imagining it meets somewhere here and maybe right there-ish. So if I were to draw out perspective lines, yeah, okay. So be like that, right? So if this person was out here, that's the height of a person standing. And then uh actually this line right here is weird because it's actually slanted at a diagonal right now, and it's totally throwing me off because if this was actually the vanishing point, this would just be flat towards us, you know? Um, so hide. So this wall would actually not even be at an angle. It would just kind of do this straight on. But in any case, talking about the ambiguity of the space again, right? But if I were to make this guy come forward to about there and down there, he'd be, oh, I don't know, about this tall here, I guess. I don't know. It's a big TV then, and that's a really large couch as well. So there's definitely some scale issues I'm noticing. Um, other things too. This radiator going away into space, same problem before as this wood plank. Is my radiator like this shape or is it super long? Right now it actually looks super long to me, and that's a issue there too. Um, the bricks. So, what is the size of a brick? Usually, you can hold a brick in your hand, so it'd be like about that big. So, if this guy was here, like these bricks are probably like about a quarter of their current scale. Like that'd be like a good scale for brick at this point, not what we have currently, right? So, all that said, I think we need to. The best approach on this is actually instead of salvaging the existing image, is the best approach I think would actually be to um, start imagining it, reimagining it, and you're like, well, it's gonna like I spent all this time. Yeah, I understand, but I think best practices on it are actually going to help you speed up your process in the long run. All right, so let's do 300 dpi and about 11 inches by 8. You're like, that's a totally different proportion. Yeah, I know. Wouldn't you know it? Like layouts tend to work better horizontal. They don't work so well vertical. When you have like a vertical layout, it I don't know. It's a little difficult. But any case, so the first thing what I would do is actually get a top down. Figure out a top down. So let me just draw this as a top down right now and just see if maybe there's, areas that need improvement of some sort. So right now, this top down appears to be something like that. And I'm holding down shift as I'm drawing this layout so I get this nice vertical and horizontal. I'm not that good at drawing straight lines. Okay, so here's the radiator, right? And then we've got like a little bit of space, and then we've got a couch here. Boop, boop. Like so. So here's our couch with the two cushions, right? Boom, 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 boom. Okay, so there's our couch. Then we've got a TV here, and as I said before, the TV's way too flat, so we need to actually thicken it and possibly put in that sort of little tube TV thing, and it'll like bulge out just a bit on the screen, right, with the knobs and whatnot. And then, oh yeah, you also had this. Okay, let's move all this over real quick. You also have that cabinet with the phone, so over here. So you notice how I was able to just shift things over real quick, right? And that's the wonderful part about working in an orthographic view is at this stage I can make pretty large adjustments to what I'm drawing here and just shifting things left and right. I'm just trying to figure out the what they call the layout of the room, which is the position of things, right? Okay, so immediately right here I can tell like that phone currently takes up like this much space. And that's a massive phone. and that would not be that large normally. So let's say if I was going to have a phone here, I would probably make it about that large, you know? So, see. So here's like a person, right? Head, shoulders, right? Here's the door that this person comes in at. Currently, we have the door opening this direction, right? Oh, and then we've got a window right here. So let's indicate that. And then there's like a plant that is on the outside somewhere and just broken through this thing, right? And and you're like, what is that? Oh, it's like a branch with leaves and crap. All right. Not, a whole lot of debris and such going on here, right? So little things like the book and maybe little planky things here. And I know there's like a rip somewhere here, right? So that's our current layout, right? So immediately I could I could see where some improvement could be had if I'm just gonna duplicate that layer. I definitely can see there being more of a space here instead of this like very straight line. Maybe there's an alcove here too. So let's say, for example, if this came in and the room layout was something a bit more like that, it would probably work out a bit better. The other thing too is we mentioned that this is something of a safe house of some sort. Well, is there like another room where it leads to the bedroom, or is this person like sleeping on a sleeping bag right here on the floor, right? So that's my other question, right? Is like, is there a spot here for the sleeping bag, or a bed of some sort, like a rolled up thing, maybe? I don't know. You know, and if you notice too, like a lot of this stuff currently is so on 90 degrees, either sideways or up and down. Um, you could actually make a few things diagonal if you wanted to, right? You could, like for example, if we wanted to play around with the layout a bit more, maybe we could like, you know, make this sleeping bag a little less tidy and maybe it's like that, right? At that angle. And then, let's say for example, if we had like a lamp back here or something, like maybe there's another table here as well, sort of to match this, but instead there was a lamp here, right? And then let's see, is there something we could put here? Perhaps there's like a picture or on the wall or something. Um, there could be, I don't know, some kind of a shelving unit over here too. So maybe we can have some bookshelves here with just stuff there. Um, Mentioning that this is a safe house. If it's kind of like Last of Us, are there boards? I guess maybe that's what some of this stuff was indicating, that this person's about to barricade the I don't know. So yeah. Um I think maybe to show that they're working on, oh, we gotta like, so there maybe is like a saw here somewhere, right? Like we gotta We gotta get that window fixed. And then we're gonna cut the branches. We're gonna put, maybe the board, instead of like, being straight up like that, maybe the board is somewhat laid out that way. And of course, I would not have my saw dead center like that. If that was the case, I'd have it kind of overlap and maybe like that. Okay. Just trying to figure out how to make this a bit more interesting. Um, like for example, too, because the branch came in, did it like move the couch a little bit? Just a little bit, you know? Like what else can we show the chaos of this event that occurred where this plant, came crashing in through the window? Well, I had mentioned that we should have broken glass and such. So, yeah, perhaps like there's still all this broken glass and debris on the ground still, and maybe some on the couch cushions, like let's make the story like, I don't know. I don't know how long it's been since this event happened. Did it happen? So that's something that should be indicated. Did this event happen just recently, or did it happen a while ago and this person went out to find supplies to come and repair this thing, right? But you notice how, like, with just a few, you know, alterations, we can figure out the layout a little better. So, um, this TV, I don't know, like we could, I, I think it's too big still. So shrink it down a bit more. Give yourself some space, right? Are there plants in here at all? I mean, other than our plant that just invaded our space, though. Um, you know, perhaps there's something, I don't know. But there could be a spot here for some kind of a plant, you know, and I don't know, something. Uh, I would probably also have a couple of longer planks here. Like that. All right. Why did I do this layout? The reason why I did the top-down layout is, well, within Photoshop, I could duplicate this and I can actually skew the perspective on it. What do you mean by that, Dan? Well, let me show you. Let me duplicate this. I'm gonna bring my other thing over on the upper part here. I'm just gonna shrink my drawings here a bit. These were just kind of there as brainstorm test beds. It's good to have several ideas here like that. Let me cut that out and let's draw in what we think would be like a nice kind of, I don't know, perspective for a room drawing. So something that would be like nice and clear would probably, I don't know, probably be something like that, right? Where the grid would kind of go back into space, but the vanishing point would be really far. So we're not dealing with, I'll show you what we're not dealing with. We're not dealing with a perspective that's like that, right? Where the vanishing point is just right here and then right here, right? Like this is like too close for the vanishing points to be together. What that's going to result in is kind of this wonky perspective that we've got going on the image on the left there. Like we don't want that. What we want is something where the vanishing points are much further away from us. Okay. And they just kind of subtly, you know, subtly shift. It's practically an orthographic view as it kind of goes further away, the angle kind of changes slightly like that. So I'm just kind of eyeballing this, but we can actually map this out if we wanted to fairly quick. Um, remember the trick that we did with the paths, right? And I'm just gonna hit F and then pull this way down here. I'm just gonna pull a vanishing point somewhere. Wow, it really did not like. Okay, here we go. Sheesh. Let's see. And hopefully, can we just, I don't know, put that there instead? Sheesh. Okay, cool. So then this goes into perspective somewhere around there. So it's off our page at least, right? So let's put this, indicate this here, and indicate this about there. Okay. And then when I do, oh, come on. It froze up on me again. Undo. Let's see if we can do this again. It's about like there-ish. And then let's see. Yeah. Hey, pretty good eye. Pretty good eye. All right. And now we'll pull in this for our other vanishing point, right? And then once we've got that, we can just hit enter and gets rid of the paths. Let's go back to pixels, right? And now we can draw in our perspective with pixels. So I quickly, drew that in lightly, but let's do it. Let's do it real. Wait, hold on. Where's my? There we go. All right, here we go. 1, 2. Notice how, yeah, at first I just kind of eyeballed the perspective, and then now I'm just basically double checking my work on it, you know. But this is in general the sort of perspective that I would want for my room. Don't know why my Photoshop's having such a difficult time rendering. I've got a pretty strong computer here. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm recording this on OBS at the same time and there's just too many apps happening. All right. So let's just indicate that for now. I can hide my other thing, my perspective thing here. I can just lower the opacity on that. And let's come back to our drawing here, this top-down layout sketch, right? I'm going to duplicate this just in case I F up and then I can come back and fix it later. But because I have it sort of nice on the 90-degree grid right now, and when I hit Control T on transform, the bounding box for this shows up pretty straightforward on the corners and such. And so now what I want to do is I want to line up my corners here with the corners of this perspective grid that I just laid out. So you hold down control and you just you just drag that out there. You drag this somewhere out about there, and then you drag this somewhere out about, let's just say there. And now I'm gonna line this up. Notice how I'm basically trying to line up my drawing with the perspective that I've just put in. All right. So if I did this angle, the issue is then the focus would be on the back of the room, the lamp, the TV. The branches would be in the foreground, which would be nice if it was like a creepy scene, right? But we wouldn't know that the branches are breaking through the window because it'd be like really close to us in front of us. So maybe that's not the angle that we're going for. Okay, so you're like, but that's what you just did. No, see, we can actually change this stuff up. If I brought these corners out here now, right? I'm pre-visualizing in my head what this would look like if I were to use this as my perspective for my layout, right? So, so over here, our dude is up here on the left. We would see a very clear image of the TV on the right. We would see our bed on the right, and then our phone with the cabinet right here on this corner. We would have a really good view too of the branch breaking in through the window right here on the left. So all signs indicate I kind of want to do it in this angle. Now the only drawback with this angle is now we're seeing the back of the couch, right? But that's fine. I mean, we could always, if we wanted to, we could flip the couch if we wanted to. That might be kind of fun too. But anyways, let's just use this as our angle. I'm gonna hit enter, and that just kind of confirms what I got there. Yeah, I'm just going to kind of lower the opacity of this layer because now I'm going to redraw it. Let's do, yeah, hard round, pressure size. And so you're probably wondering, like, what? Yeah, what kind of sorcery is this, Dan? Well, I pretty much just hack perspective on this, right? Like, I made the perspective so much easier by doing it this way because now I no longer need to necessarily guess like how big is that phone going to be in the foreground? How, you know, because I have like a top down layout here, and all I need to do is figure out from the top down how big would this phone be compared with that dude, how big would the couch be compared with that dude, how big would the TV be compared to that, like that. Would that dude be able to lay down on that little mattress on the ground, right? So that's um the way I'm making these lines now is I'm just tapping on the corners while holding down shift. And here's the magic is if I hold down shift and I draw straight up, now I can pull up the walls here. Say what? Yeah. Now I'm just going to pull up the walls. and we'll figure out how big's our dude and all that. But so we definitely have this wall kind of covering up our door right there. So I'm not sure if we want that, but we could. I mean, we kind of need this wall in order to tell our stories, so we might do one with and without. But oh shit! Did my Photoshop freaking crash on me? Oh no, that was bad. Oh sheesh. Oh good. Okay, did not crash on me. Phew. Which reminds me, time to save. Eeks! I totally thought I lost this thing. All right, Rio Honda backup. We call it uh Ash Safehouse notes. Bup bup. All right, back at it. So, this is where the window will be going off into perspective and such. Well, for now, let's ignore that door. Sorry, door. You do not fit into my plans. So we have to figure out how high up do we want things, right? So the best way to do that, let me make a new layer, and I'm just gonna draw my dude right here. It's kind of important to put in this scale person really, because this is going to show you, yeah, if I have a couch, will this person be able to sit in that couch? You know? And also, what would help in this process is if I duplicated this fella and brought him, say, like right here. Well, he wouldn't be that size. He'd be much larger, uh, like about that big. And what I'm doing now is I'm just kind of seeing where that perspective line crosses his face, which is kind of around the chin area, and then where that foot is next to the perspective line down here. And so I've got a relative scale comparison now to how big this person would be when he's close to us and when he's further away, right? And maybe it all needs to be a little bigger if I have, let's say for example, if that's the mattress that he's sleeping on, I don't know, it might be a little bit small. So the bigger we make this dude, the I'm holding down shift as I scale him. The bigger we make this dude, the smaller the room's gonna feel, which is also good. So it's let's say around right there. That might be good. Um, and now I want to move this guy back up, and I want to make sure that all the perspective is crossing the right spots. So right here, that line crosses through sort of his chest area, and then over here we've got, so maybe he's a little bit shrunken, something like that. Cool. That feels about right because I'm looking at this guy and I'm looking at the rolled up bed on the ground. I'm saying, yeah, that's about right size for this guy to lay down in. As far as the size of the table and the couch and all that, it all feels pretty good, right? Um, This is super important to getting scale down correctly. All right. Because the next thing is we want to figure out things like where does the window where's the window, and all that kind of stuff. So let's do that. So here's my drawing here. Usually, like if I duplicate up, um, depending on if it's like a high ceiling or a low ceiling place, uh, like this would be kind of a low ceiling spot, but I'm just using the perspective, I'm eyeballing it right now, of course, but I'm kind of using the perspective lines of this to kind of line up so that we have a nice indication, right? I guess this would go all the way about there until it hit whatever's up here, and then this would be our wall. So, boop, boop. And, obviously the wall's not going to be paper thin. It's going to have some thickness to it. So we will also want to kind of indicate that as well if we're going to be honest here. Okay, so um, same person walking in, they'll get to about here, and let's say, for example, if there was a window here, the window would probably, ooh, come on, the window would probably be about that high. Now, why would you have a window when you have a safe house? There's a question. Like well, first off, you would want curtains up or something, right? So let's indicate that. Perhaps there's a curtain rod right here with like something at the end of that. But because our place has been shattered and broken into, uh, we need to we need to figure out. Well, first of all, there's going to be thickness here to this window, right? Like that, so we could kind of see the outside there. Okay. The problem that's happening with this tree branch thing, you pretty much put in a giant, full size, like elm tree and jammed it through this tiny window, and that probably would not be the thing that would happen. What would probably happen is it'd be like one branch with some leaves, or maybe there's no leaves. Actually, with no leaves, it makes life easier, and it also seems to makes more sense to me when there's no leaves on the tree, because it means maybe the tree's kind of withering and dying, and then with a strong wind it blew in through the window and because the tree got knocked over by the wind. The other cool thing about no leaves is the branches kind of feel like a creepy hand or some kind of like a gnarled thing. So I would probably go with a branch with no leaves and stuff like that. So I don't know, let's indicate that. And the way and we kind of want an overall shape like kind of kind of gnarled, bending, and not following not following not following my perspective lines so much, but what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to draw a very natural branch, but it's hard. There's an art form to drawing things in nature, and the best way to do it is actually to draw a lot of stuff in real life from nature. The tricky thing here, of course, is to make sure that as we get further away from the origin point of the branch, like the tree trunk area, that things get thinner and thinner and thinner as we kind of move away. You don't want, I don't know. It'd be like, suddenly there was some weird like growth spurt, and then like there was a whole other period where the branch was like, then you would have like weird shapes, but I it doesn't look natural and it doesn't look good. So what you want is in general on a branch like this is you want it to kind of start off kind of medium thick and then have it go thinner and thinner, and gnarled you want these little gnarled points of growth. It's almost like I don't know, like the branches kind of change directions as they grow. Um, and odd is always better than even, so you go like, oh, there's two branches here, like here, so let's get a third one in there, or maybe a third one out here, like that. So either it's like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, maybe 3, like you get this weird rhythm going on with it, and you kind of need to just be doing it to get that feel from it. Meanwhile, as you're, drawing these branches out, you want to make sure that you're feeling the form of these things coming towards you, right? Like if I was to 3D model this thing, it would come out that way, right? Okay, so we've got the branch. Now what we can do is we've allowed us to have more room now to put in our broken glass stuff, right? So the way it generally happens is there's like a shatter point on the glass, and then there's like a spider webbing effect that comes off of that. So you would look something like this, like that, but it would not be broken evenly. It would be broken kind of large and small pieces, kind of these little miniature radial things, and then it would also shatter, say, this way along the way as well. So, so that's kind of how I would draw. And then you could have like a corner piece left here, and maybe there's something in the foreground, in front of that's left here. But then what you can do is you can have all this glass on the floor. Now what's going to happen is you might think, "Oh, glass on the floor like that." But that makes it look like the glass that's on the floor is standing straight up. So what you can do is you could draw that, like what would the layout be of glass shattering on the floor look like? And yeah, let's do that. Boop boop. And I'm just drawing what I feel like could be a random ish pattern, but there is always this. It's weird. We tend to, especially if you have like any kind of OCD, we tend to kind of make things evenly, you know, and you don't want that. You want things to kind of start off with larger pieces, for example, that are higher up, and then you'll have like smaller pieces as it moves away. And you probably don't want too many right angles actually, because that's rare in nature. So something like that. Okay. So now I kind of drew this in on a separate layer. And what we can do is we can just squeeze the F out of it for the perspective. See what I mean? Like that. Boom. And that way it seats it on the ground a lot more. Now I know there's going to be a couch popping up here, so maybe I might want to take some of these pieces down here and put them somewhere out here. And that's just like a compositional issue. Okay, like that. So now let's draw in our couch, which would be about here. And like I said, like we're gonna probably see more of the back of the couch, but I don't know, I'm just gonna go with your design here. It'll look kind of like this. Something like this. But then we've got this part, and all this crap here gets erased. You're like, but you drew all that. Yeah, this is what happens. There we go. Something ish like that. And you want this to overlap as much as you can so that, and then all of our glass pieces here got covered, which sucks, but that's why I did it on a separate layer, because now that I drew the couch in, we can figure out where we want to move those pieces so that we can actually see them, right? So let's go lasso. Cool. So these pieces could maybe show up over here. And that way we can, you know, not let our drawing go to waste. But we know now, like behind all that, all the couch stuff would be uh, broken glass. It might be good to see, we'll see some of the top of the couch there too. And then maybe you might see a little bit of this corner here indicated. And of course, how old's this couch? Is it ripped on this corner? Who knows? Something like that. So you can always indicate little historic details here. A less than perfect world, right? All right. So we've got that. Our dudes are still here. I could probably hide that dude now. Um, Where's my drawing? Yeah, here. Okay, so now we've got our table here, and our table is going to cover up this. I wasn't fond of that corner anyway, so we can go here, and let's just. So this would actually be like the top of the table, but first let's just indicate how what is the space that would be occupied by this with a very simple cube, right? Something like that. And then our phone would be somewhere on this corner right here. Now we got to know what the back of a phone looks like, which is interesting. Be good opportunity now to pull up some ref, but I kind of know. So it'd be like that, and then there would be the little two knobby things here. Boop and boop up here. There'd be little buttons here, and we wanted it to be off the hook. Shit's off the hook. Oh. And then maybe over here is our cord, and it goes down, etc. All right, so the side of our table, what is this shape that we want? Have a general idea as to it. Usually the top kind of cuts in, so it allows these like lines, little detail molding lines to come in. And then we've got our this part, but then there's a base to this whole thing too. So it might stick out again, and that's kind of the balance of it. And here's where you can cut up, go down, and then erase what you don't need from here. Same thing, cut up, down, cut, erase this part. And then make sure we are consistent here. And we've got our. Now we could put in more stuff here because, we shrank that phone, which is, you know, give, maybe there's a lamp here too or something. I don't know. But there's room for something here, right? Um, we're not going to see the thing hanging down unless if it's like, I don't know, hanging down all the way here. Yeah, why not? Boom. It's like right here, and then we'll have it kind of vertically. And then erase. So there's our nice little phone thing. It's off the hook. Made that joke already. Okay. Um, the layout here. See how like now I don't have to figure out the exact perspective of the sleeping bag now. I can kind of indicate like maybe there's a pillow here. Make sure it's got some thickness to it. Doesn't have to be that wide either. You could kind of change your mind as you go. And then there'd be like, I don't know, a spot here too where it's like they got out of bed, right? So be pulled aside, and then I'm making it like a sleeping bag. And there might be some other crap here, chips and more glass. Okay, like that. All right. Um, we can kind of ghost our dude here a little. Doesn't have to be that prominent. All right. TV. We just kind of make our TV. Let's kind of indicate the size first. And what's cool is if we had actually tilted our TV slightly, it would, give us the indication of a tilted thing, and we then figure out the perspective for that. But so doing this allows us to put things at a diagonal in a relatively easier way than if we had, you know, I'm just cutting in now. Ugh. I think our TV needs to be taller now. Shoot. Yeah, taller. It's a big TV. It's a big one. Just, just a wee tad. And then, yeah, you probably might want to put some room on the side for the dials and knobs and all that too. We might not actually see the drum that's back there, but I just wanted to possibly indicate it. So there's like usually like two knobs. I think one for volume, one for channels. There's probably like a power button somewhere as well, or maybe it's integrated into the knobs. And there might be on the side of this, sometimes they'll have like a speaker, right? So it might do well to indicate some holes here, like that. If you want rabbit ears, we can put that in, make it kind of old style. Be good also to research what these things look like. How do they articulate? How do they, there's a telescoping thing and then there's a little thick thing that stops it at the end. Something like that. And actually, let's not make them even. When you make it even, it's called twinning. It's almost like, give me a V, a W, an M. Um, it's just all even on both sides like that. It's kind of boring. I'm noticing too, our little dresser here seems really squished. So let's unsquishify it. Gonna tall it up a bit. Come on. Just gonna pull this up just a tad. And then you can just kind of squish that. And then, and yeah, and then we'll just say like that. I mean, I know we're still going in perspective and whatnot, but it's just enough where we can do that. Um, there's usually like some kind of this is a board of some sort back here. But yeah, it's the sides that are like the strong part. All right. So now that I've kind of indicated that being the height of this, it it makes sense if the one over here is the same design and the same height. And this shows I can do I can draw things at the same scale in perspective. Not everybody can do that. It's hard. So, boom. And then there's the lid, right? Boop, like there. The lid of it. Boom, like that. And then we get to finally see what the front side of this thing looks like. So that's good. Yeah, and so we might have a drawer here and a thinner one up here. Something something like that. Don't know what the design is yet, but I'm just going to indicate something here and something there. And then we could put our lamp up on the top of this, and our lamp does not have to be, yeah, straight up, straight on. Our lampshade could be a little wonk, but not too wonk. It just has to be wonk enough where erase, boop, boop, like that. And the problem with the wonk is I wonked it too much. Just a little bit less. Probably would have been better to draw it from the bottom up in this case, but anyways, there's usually these like wires on the side, or yeah, and then this is where the bulb goes. But any case, and then of course there'd be a cable, and then there's some AC thing back there, right? All right, what else? Okay, we have this like rip on the wall. So let's indicate that. That'd be a very natural progression of it. As far as, and there's a little bit of thickness to whatever this plaster part is. And then we can indicate now our brick on there. So you could come in and draw in every frickin' brick, or you can just indicate it. I always choose to indicate. What do you mean? We don't have to draw every brick. We can just kind of fade it out eventually. Or is that big? Is that huge? Did I like go against my word? Yeah, that one's kind of big. Something like that. And of course, they do this offset thingy. Gonna erase some of this crap. The What you could kind of do is make it look like maybe some of the plaster kind of came back in as well. Like it just kind of fades. This is the tricky part, is selling that this thing eventually fades out. Like that, right? Boom, boom. All right. We had our door there. You know, we could change the position of our door if we wanted to. You know, I mean, that would be the obvious choice position, though. The other thing, too, now that I think about it, aha, I'm changing my mind as we speak. Check this out. Maybe this hallway doesn't sink that far in. Mm-hmm. Right. So then we can still draw in our we can draw in our door now. Boom. We don't get a good view of that radiator, but you know what? If we could have room on the right hand side now, so maybe that's our radiator now. Okay. Now for my door, on how high the door is, I need my dude back here. About there-ish. And he'd be about there, about that big. I'm just looking at the proportions here. And also, yeah, lower the opacity on him. Okay. So he'd be able to, just making sure, make sure your people can fit through your furniture and doorways, I mean. Right, so there'd be this type of thing for your door frame. There'd be an inset. Aha, the inset. Very tricky. Pop, pop. And then there's the inset right there, like that. And then your, whatever, the handle and such. And your crappy lock. And a little hole. And then you got your, which I assume is a smoke alarm of some sort, like that. And I would put the radiator right frickin' here now. And now we can kind of see better as far as like how big do we want this radiator? Maybe that big. And then you just erase around it. Got to figure out what a radiator looks like for me. Let's see. I think it's, I'm just going to copy your example here. There's a circle here thing. I would imagine it'd be raised off, and then you'd have your and then there'd be like a pipe or something, I would assume, either in the back or somewhere. Yeah, I don't know. All right. Oh, by the way, the cool thing about drawing out your frickin' brick thing right here, you could copy and paste that thing all day long now. What do you mean? Control J. We can have broken brick party right here. That corner right there. Pretty good. Up, up, up. Let's just tweak this to go up-ish. Pretty good. Like that. And now where's my drawing of my place here? Just gonna see like that. And then we can just rip this crap. Like that. You don't necessarily want to have straight lines all the time, especially if you want to show that this place has kind of been through some crap. Okay. We've got indications of maybe broken molding right here, which is cool. It'd be the case here as well. It would most likely reach all the way up, honestly. And then I guess it'd be somewhere around here-ish. I'm cheating now. I'm going to raise it higher than it would be. And then it'd be here too. Higher than it would be. And then we got the stuff down here, which is like the kickboard section. Boom. Like that. You're drawing so messy, man. Almost got everything down. Oh yeah, I wanted a plant here and possibly some shells on that corner. So let's try that. Usually, like, you wouldn't want the plant to, there's usually like something in here to catch whatever runoff water there might be. So there'd be something there. Here's like a liddy thing, and then goes all the way around. And then there's the dirt here. And then, of course, our plant. Call it something leafy. I don't know. Maybe not so leafy. This is where we can get a little abstract. It just has to. I don't know what that is, but. maybe back here. Yeah. Something. We'll figure it. So there you go. There's a plant there now. Might want to have like a something on this vase, some pattern, some drawing, a crest. I don't know. Some design thing. Or not vase, but you know, your you can also have little, what you call it? What do you call those? Ridge lines here. And you only have to indicate the edges, not the all of it. Let's see. Maybe there's a little. Let's make it like a round thing, maybe. Yeah, let's make it a round. Just a corner. Some kind of a corner unit. How about that? And maybe it's not a shelf so much as like a little displays thing. Of course, yeah. I always got to do this weird squiggly indication thing, and then we'd have some kind of a indicator here. And this would be like kind of a corner cabinet thing. And there would be like little glass. You're like, I didn't want to make complicated geo. It's just a quarter cylinder. But yeah, you could put cool shit in here now. Some kind of like, put plates or I don't know. This is where he puts his bullets. I don't know. Some kind of a unit like that. And of course, let's come back and let's address the stuff on the floor. In fact, like you pretty much drew it all flat, so I could. Yeah. Let's do this. Let's try this. Life hack. Just gonna select this crap. Oh, come on. Deselect the out. Oh, come on. Let's go tolerance 10. No. Deselect around. Yeah, that's what I wanted. All right, so I'm just gonna. That's what we'll salvage. We just, yeah, we just put this stuff here and make it follow some of your perspective that we laid out. Maybe over here-ish. I'm just like distorting this until it kind of feels not bad. I think it needs to be flipped. It needs to be flipped because your wood plank, I'm seeing this side of it, so it just needed to be flipped. Now it's feeling better now. Still a little flat, but kind of what So you could actually now uh, come back and then we could redraw these props in. Let's go like this. And then, I don't know, be like that or something. And make it a little larger for clarity. Come on. Yes. I'm just thickening it so that it's in perspective now. And you got your magic book of how to fix crap. So we got this now. The good part is I can tell there has been some research done here on what books look like and what certain objects look like, so that's good. So I don't have to rethink this stuff. But and the paper is flat, so but we can for these parts that kind of curve, we can definitely kind of curve it up a bit more so it sticks out nicer and maybe there's like a cache out of here. I don't know. Like that. We can just I'm just going to indicate. I know a lot of detail's been put in here, but would be kind of cool if this was your safe house or whatnot. Is I'm looking at this here and it almost feels like newspapers or something, or things that have been clipped out and kind of put together. If this stuff was actually up on a wall somewhere, here's the crumpled crap. And then you have like your crime stuff, meaning right here's my plank, more planky plank goodness. When I'm done, I'll hide my layer with all the initial drawing stuff in here. All right, let's hide this. Oh yeah, not that. Let's hide that. Right, and then we've got our. I'm just gonna hide your thing there. Um, yeah, like say for example, if somewhere here there's some kind of like a crime wall, right? It's like and there's usually a map in the middle here of some sort that indicates some state part of the like a grid if it's a map, and then there's all these like little images and maybe some of them are out here because I'm not sure where they go and you know it's like but these are all pinned up against this thing on the thumbtacks and such, and maybe they are like, oh, we know that this person was here, So this ties in there, and then this was here, you know, crime wall, something like that, right? Then we could, there's a little backstory of what the heck's been happening in this world, right? And then it's like, I don't know. Question. Yeah, I don't know. All right. But this is pretty good to indicate based on that stuff. And then now let's come in and I'm just gonna hide my dudes. Hide, hide. Okay. So now I've got this kind of indicated in. I'm gonna um, put on a layer underneath everything. I'm just gonna paint in the gray. This is probably too dark. But what I'll do is I'm just gonna paint in the outline of the gray stuff, erase, and then like I can erase these corners like that. And then what's cool is then you can just fill it in with the paint bucket like that. Tap twice. All right. And now we can come back and let's fix it. Let's go a little lighter like that. Right. Go a little lighter and then now I'm going to paint in a little slightly darker gray for my objects in the scene. Notice how now I can see the shape of this cabinet thing as it's now kind of, as well as this couch, right? Maybe the couch should have had little legs, right? And then we can have our branch breaking through here. Gonna need to shrink this down. I'm painting this on a separate layer in case I need to come back and, erase, you know, that. But yeah, definitely indicate where your objects are gonna be. That might end up being light, actually, because, where are our light sources? That's a good question. You know, so first I'm just gonna paint in the silhouettes, and then what you can do is you can determine where your light sources are, and that then you just paint in your shadows after that. Got this thing. Right. All this crap on the ground. Probably want to color a bit and indicate. and my sleeping bag here. Right. So you could see that I'm starting to get a lot more clarity now in my image. I guess I could color this fella in as well. It kind of, you know, it's, the plant is right in front of it. Oh, this part's important too. It's like, I want to make sure you see this like that, right? So those are sort of my key objects within here, and then after you kind of paint this stuff in, you could probably go like, oh well, maybe I want this stuff in the front to be a little darker. Because it's the foreground, right? And then this part is the middle ground. This part over here is further away from us, so Control U, make it lighter, right? Background, right? Something like that. And what you can do too is you can now make that plant a little darker and cheat it so that it pops out a little bit more from the cabinet behind it, right? Something like that. Um, you know, is it light out? Is it dark out? I don't know. But say, for example, if it was bright outside, then we can paint in our light source now, like this, right? And so from here, we can actually start indicating, let's say, for example, eh, I need a light gray that's lighter than that light gray. Here we go. Something like that on anything that that light would be touching, including parts of this branch. But yeah, like I need to indicate maybe this part of the ground is lit by whatever light's coming in through this window. A good part to a good way to indicate that too is to make like a little gradation coming off of this. So remember I had that gradient tool thing? Let's go. Let's go. Gradient tool. Classic gradient. Make it linear gradient. 21%. Yeah, I'm just gonna. So it kind of indicates like, hey, there's some rays of light coming in from there. Another possible indication of light would be, of course, this part right here. And then what you can do is kind of soften. Ah, come on. I want like a soft. Yeah, kind of like that. And then, of course, it would create some lighting here as something like that. You probably hit the corner here a bit on this side. on this side and on this is the beauty pass sort of. Just, I'm just trying to figure out, would this look good, right? Something like that, you know. And of course, it would also light up the wall and all that too. So, yeah, it's pretty good. I I condone some indoor lighting here. Um, I don't know where else would be lit. It'd be probably good to have a light source somewhere above that cabinet as well. Maybe candles, I don't know. But yeah, the key thing here though is when you do want to do some lighting design on this thing, have a dominant light and a recessive light. So the stuff on the inside perhaps is not nearly as bright. It just does a little bit compared to the beam of the sun. Or what we can do is maybe that's not the sun light, that could be moonlight. And then that means that this is actually just subtle, right? Something subtle. And then, this stuff over here on the right is now dominant. So what we can do is brighten this over here. You always want to paint in your lighting on a separate layer because you might do a different pass on it. Like I don't know, you might put a lamp somewhere else or whatever. So here you go. This this is how I would approach this. Go from a top-down layout first, and that kind of helps us indicate what the stuff is and how big the stuff is and what shape the stuff is. And then we can take that, bring it into perspective, and then extrude it off of the ground, the floor plan. And that's pretty much how I would approach most uh, interior layouts. All right. Thanks.